I've got to be honest with you here. I'm struggling with motivation this week, and I think it's down to the theme of this week's episode. Have you ever had ideas, thoughts, dreams, goals, aspirations that you felt so excited and energized about, yet something inside you has put that fire out and stopped you from taking any steps to go any further, from it just being a thought to it being a reality? This week's theme is what's the point? Why am I making this the theme on week 4 of 365 days of love? Because it's something that stopped me doing so many things in my life that I feel really excited about and drawn in a really strong and powerful way to do. I just went to get some shopping, and as the world works, I love synchronicity. I was walking past a busker, and I always like to give buskers money. I went into my wallet and I had a little bit of change, and I said to him, I'm going to give you everything I've got. And he smiled and he said, that's interesting. What does that involve? And I said, well, this is all the money I've got and I want you to have it. It'll buy you a packet of crisps or something. But what happened was we got talking. And we got talking about him and his life and his background, his experience. And it turns out he is a really talented, skilled, knowledgeable, energetic, vibrant man who has a lot to offer the world. So I got talking about his dreams that he mentioned, and I said to him, well, why don't you go back to college now and study those things that you dreamed of studying years ago? And he said, I can't. What's the point? I can't afford it. So I immediately said, hang on a minute. If this is your heart and soul's calling, life will provide everything you need to make that happen. That's the truth. And it's the laws of the universe. I left him with a request to explore the blocks that he has on pursuing and fulfilling his dreams. And then he asked me if I was going to cleanse his chakras, and I said, no, you can do that yourself. And I walked on. So funny. I mean, can I cleanse his chakras? Of course. What's the point? It's interesting that I have so much resistance coming up this week to be doing my video and to be editing. I've left it later than normal. I've been shopping, I've made lunch, I've done all sorts of other things apart from sitting down and making this video. And I love it because it's totally in line with where I'm at right now. What is the point? Now, this is a question that's come up in my thoughts quite a lot over the years for varying different reasons, sometimes randomly in the shower, sometimes when I've been at my darkest lows and questioning what is the point of all this suffering. It's something that I find a lot of people around me also question themselves. We're all going to die at some point. And that means we leave this earth, this physical plane, as a human, and we reintegrate with the universe as energy. Now that thought has taken me down some really dreary lanes of thinking, well, if there is no point, what is the point in being here? And let me tell you, after 23 years of eating disorders, full-on bulimia, sometimes feeling like it's wrecking my life, being in some of the most darkest places in my head, I've questioned what I'm doing here. I've questioned the point of the suffering I've been through. I've questioned the point of carrying on with this life when all I've felt is suffering and challenge after challenge and no way of getting out of this so-called disorder of my mind. It got so bad at one point that I referred myself to an eating disorders clinic in Dorset and asked them to put me on medication. That medication saved my life because it stopped the suicidal thinking. It brought me back into a state of being able to find some clarity in what life is. What have I come to in this? There is no point unless we make it. It's up to us as humans to create the meaning, the point of life. Through the depths of the darkness of bulimia, there were times when I was so scared about the state of my physical health that I didn't know if I was going to wake up in the morning. But each day, I kept waking up. Each day, the bulimia carried on. My physical health would get worse. I would feel more and more tired, have all these different things happening in my body. And I kept waking up. So in the midst of an existential crisis, whilst me is feeling like I'm suffering this amount and my physical body is being driven to its limits, being scared that I'm not going to wake up, but I carry on waking up, I then realise, unless I take my own life, I'm going to carry on waking up. So as long as I carry on waking up every morning, I may as well make some point out of it. And that was the beginning of quite a big shift in my life. We can all feel like we're suffering. We can all feel like there are challenges in our lives. And it's up to us to change the perspective on it so it doesn't feel like suffering or challenges anymore. Having this epiphany did not make me a saint. It didn't clear my head of thoughts that might hold me back. It didn't make me this perfectly mindful being like the Dalai Lama, who I'm sure still has his stuff going on too. We are all creative beings. We are all created. And in terms of some spiritual talk, if you think about the chakras, if you think about the sacral chakra in our abdomen, just below the navel, that is the place of sexuality and creativity. It's all creativity, and I'm sure when you get a really beautiful impulse of creativity or an idea or a thought, you feel something in your belly. I was doing some shadow work yesterday, and it is all about telling all of my sexual experiences with a mask on into a mirror for 12 hours. I did 6, and then the what's the points came up. I really did need to go out and move and dance, so I went out to the beach and I danced in the car park on my own with my music on at sunset. I was talking to a friend about the book that I got the idea from with regards to the shadow work, and it's a book called Dreaming Through Darkness, which discusses integration of our dark and our golden shadow. This friend asked, what is the golden shadow? The golden shadow is anything from untapped potential, unexpressed qualities, dreams that we've not fulfilled. And he asked for an example. And the example I gave was that I've always had a soul calling, this longing to sing. Ever since I was a little girl, I have dreamed of being on stage. Initially it was a pop singer. However, now I have very different passions in music. And the thing that's held me back from pursuing this dream, from taking the little baby steps to even try out and see if this dream is something that I want to do, or whether it's something I just leave behind. The what's the point question has come into my head. It's that same ego again, saying things like,
who are you to be a singer? You're not musical at all. Really? You're such a fake. You can't do that. There's so many more people better than you. What on earth are you thinking of? It's impossible. You'll never make it, so just don't bother trying.
Plenty of inner dialogue to be going on with, and I know that it's not just me who has this to deal with. I know friends and you and family have had this at some point and may be going through this now with a project or an idea or a dream or a goal, an aspiration that you want to fulfill. Now, so much of me has been coming in with, don't bother doing this video today, go and do something else, go to the gym, go for a walk, call a friend, do some colouring in. I knew when I started this 4 weeks ago that setting this campaign for myself, this 365 days of love, a project once a week, making a video and posting it, I knew that it would bring stuff up, because this is what happens. Beautiful, lovely life stuff coming up for me to look into, feel around, and learn to overcome. Because ultimately, if there is no point, it's up to me to make the point of my life. So I can sit here and I can feel like I'm suffering, or I can change my perspective and see that there is something here for me. And I've tried lots of things in the past. I've fulfilled a lot of things, and I've given up on some things. Some of the things I've given up on have been because I've doubted and questioned what's the point. Other things have been because it's just felt like life is telling me, don't go this way anymore. And that's where we all learn. And that's what is for us to explore, is that line between taking more steps to carry on pursuing a dream or knowing when to stop. So basically, there is no point. It's up to you to make the point, and I want you to make the point. Create that meaning in your life. If there's something that's been niggling at you, to try, to look into, to research on the internet, just start having a look. Maybe once a week or once a fortnight, just once a month. Just open up that option, that channel, that opportunity for doors to open. Because I know that when we give ourselves a chance to explore, if it's meant for us, synchronicity will bring things into our life. It will bring symbols and signs to show us that we're on the right path. You know this. You've got your inner guidance. Trust your gut. You've got this. Know you are loved and lovable. Life's exciting. See you next week.